Her triumphs. I took a group of women that didn't believe in themselves, and I just believed in them. Her trials.
I never wanted to go to practice. I was losing a ton of weight.
Her story.
I just put my faith in God and just trusted the system.
Her why.
I want people to see what I did and say, oh, that's so awesome. I'm going to be better than that. That would be how I hope that this journey ends.
This is Her Why, where we tell the stories from BYU women's sports. Here is your host, Lauren McLean.
We're so glad you've joined us for Her Why, where we celebrate the women who make BYU sports great. Today's guests are goalkeepers on the BYU women's soccer team and sisters, Savanna Mason and Haven Empey. Thank you so much for being here with me, gals.
Hey. Thanks for having us.
Good to have you. You guys are just, what an incredible family. I love your family. So let's start, though, with the recent College Cup. In the quarterfinals, BYU took on the University of North Carolina, and there's history there, which makes it even more fun. The first 20 minutes of that game, UNC made 3 goals. What was the energy like then? Like when BYU was down 3-0, what was the energy like?
I mean, it's really hard to start off a big game like that and go down 3 goals. That's a lot to work back towards, but honestly, I think over the whole game, even though it wasn't really going our way at first and we were kind of struggling to find our rhythm, I knew. Like, you could just feel everyone knew that we were going to figure it out. Like, no one freaked out. Everyone stayed super calm. We were steady. We were ready to figure out how to make our way back.
That's incredible. And I was so curious, Haven, what happened at halftime that got everyone hyped up? Like, what did Jen Rockwood say in the locker room, or what happened at halftime?
Honestly, our coaches came in with a lot of energy, but before our coaches even came in there, the girls were problem solving. Everybody was kind of putting in their input, what they were seeing, and everybody just kind of knew. Like, everybody in the room knew that even though the score was showing one thing, that we could come out and show a different thing. And Jen came in the room and she wrote a big 75 on the board and slapped it. And we're all in there, we're like, okay, 75. She's like, who knows what this means? And we're sitting there and she's saying how that 75 represented the goals that we have scored this season and our ability to come back and to score goals, that was our strength. And so she didn't have to say much. I think that got everybody amped up enough. And when we went out there, like Savanna said, we just kind of knew. We knew it was going to be tough and a battle, but everybody just stayed really optimistic. From the field to the bench, everybody was just really optimistic that we could do it.
Incredible. Because then you really do the unthinkable, score 4 goals, and end up winning. Savanna, how was that possible? Like, looking back, were you like, how did we do that?
Yeah.
Or did you even doubt ever?
Honestly, I really don't. I really felt like we were gonna figure it out, and I think that was the same with everyone else. You could ask everyone else, but the biggest thing that we focused on was just like, we just need one. If we can just get 1 goal, we're going to be just fine, and it'll start going from there. So the focus really was just, let's just get 1. And then once we got 1, it was like, okay, let's just get 1 more. So I think just the focus of step by step, like, it was crazy, but we didn't doubt. We knew. The feeling was there. We were going to come out of that one.
Well, and you couldn't celebrate very long because then you had to take on Stanford right after that. The last game against Stanford, the Cardinals scored 2 early goals, and even after 20 shots later, BYU fell 2-0. What was it like, Haven, ending the season there after that?
I think anybody would tell you the same. It hurts. It's a stinger for sure. And it hurts deep because you devote so much into it. Our team motto was all in, and we really were all in from the start of the season to the end of it. And when you devote that much of your mental, physical abilities, all of it there, man, like, that's an inevitable sting. It's going to happen. But I think everybody also just had a tremendous amount of respect for the season, for each other. For Stanford, they put up a good game. And you have to take that for what it is and just enjoy that you got where you were.
You're a lot more mature than I am because I was very upset about that offsides call.
That's for real. Because
I'm like,
we were.
When BYU scores, the floodgates open, so it just takes 1. And when they took that, anyway, that's a whole nother conversation.
Trust us, we feel that one too. We sign up for it, don't we?
Yeah. Savanna, do you feel like it ended too soon, or did it feel like, okay, we've come a really long way?
Honestly, we were set on that national championship. That's been a goal since the off season. So, yeah, not just like what Haven was saying, not kind of reaching that goal is a stinger for sure. But at the same time, how can you not look back and appreciate the journey and be grateful for, all of the support that we had this season? It was insane. All of the people that were rooting for us and cheering for us and helping us out. And so it's just, it's hard not to make it to your end goal, but it's also awesome to be able to then have a chance to reflect and look back and just be proud of what we've accomplished and how far we've come.
Oh, yeah. Just an incredible historic year. What an incredible team. How awesome that you guys got to be a part of that. You're both goalkeepers. In fact, you're two of the 4 goalkeepers on the team, obviously competing against each other and your other teammates. How do you make sure it doesn't affect your relationship as sisters and as teammates? Because I think that would be interesting. Haven, we'll start with you.
Well, we've been doing this for a while. We've competed against each other and with each other in high school, and then carried that into college in 2019. And so we've been competing with and against each other for a long time. But I think that also comes with the sense of respect that we are where we are because of each other.
Yeah.
Right? We're there to push each other, to help each other. And I know for sure I would not be where I am without her beating me out every day, working hard with me every day, and vice versa. We constantly kind of have that mentality that we're going to push each other to be our very best.
Yeah.
And of course, you have to figure out where that ends and how to then go home with it. And that takes trial and error for sure. But I think ultimately, like, we really had found that love for not only the game, but for each other and the respect that wherever that leads us when we go home, it's the same.
Yeah. Savannah, as the older sister, are you ever like, I gotta beat her out? Like, I'm the older sister. Do you ever have that feeling?
For sure. And that just goes back to no one's made me work harder than Haven. And I really can, Haven hit it right on the dot, is that we wouldn't be where we are without each other. Haven's my best training partner. And it's been like that since we were 12. So, that's just honestly, one of the biggest blessings in my life. I think one of the really cool things about us being in college and playing with each other on the same team is when Haven graduated early to come to BYU, I had just gotten home from my mission. Not 3 weeks before we started in January of 2020, and that was such a cool time that whole year and after for me to kind of figure myself out, because taking an 18-month break is difficult. And I was super rusty, and being able to just hit the ground running with Haven was awesome. And she pushed me so hard. And I actually remember there was a practice specifically where I think it was my first week back. We're in this drill. She's in college now. She's this big college girl, and she's killing it. And I got emotional in practice. I remember trying to not get too emotional because I was at practice, but I was like, man, look at my sister. What a dog. She is a beast. And that is so amazing to see, just because I've seen her from day one, you know? And so, and then, this past season, she returned home from her mission in August, after a few weeks after we started. So it was kind of my chance to then get her going and
oh yeah, and let me tell you, that was the same reaction though. I came home 2 weeks after fall camp, and I am putting my cleats on for the first time. She's with me. We're at practice, and it's my first practice back just 2 days after coming home.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm looking at Savanna in this big drill that we're doing, and Jen has me sitting on the side watching everybody playing, and I'm looking at her play, and I'm like, dang, oh my gosh. She has grown so much, worked so hard, and I could just see that pay off for her. And I too was just like, oh my gosh, is this real life?
You got tears too.
I'm like, oh my gosh.
My sister's so good.
She's so good.
There's so much love here. I love it. Let's break down the goalkeeper position a little bit, because it's obviously probably the most unique position on a soccer team. What makes a really good standout goalkeeper? We'll start with Savanna.
Ooh, that's a good question. This is something we talk about a lot, but I think goalkeepers have a lot of character, and I think a big part of that is leadership. It just comes naturally with the position and how to play the position. And so I feel like what really makes a standout goalkeeper, and we do soccer camps all summer, right? And we train the goalkeepers, and it's really fun to see all the different personalities that come in. But the ones that really stand out most to me are the ones who are willing to just put themselves out there, to be a leader, right? To go to the younger keepers that are part of the group. Sometimes we'll have ages 12 to 16 or 17. And so it's really awesome to see goalkeepers who are willing to kind of put themselves out there and be super inclusive and just be like a total complete leader, because that correlates so much on the field in that type of position. So first thing that comes to my mind really is a strong leader and someone who can motivate, someone who can rally people, and then also stand strong on their own.
Is it kind of like the quarterback of the soccer team? Because I often see the goalkeeper like yelling at her teammates down the field, and you got to have to point where you go. Does it give consistency to have the same goalkeeper throughout the game, kind of like a quarterback? Is it similar?
Yeah, I would totally say it's similar.
I'd say on every level of the field, you have kind of that structure that keeps things consistent, right? Like keeps the flow, keeps everything intact. And so I think in each level of that field, you find your quarterback per se.
Yeah.
Like you find that thing. And I think honestly, it switches out with who takes that control and who helps and organizes in such a way. And so I think at times that is the case. Like at times that definitely is the case.
I feel like goalkeepers have to be fearless too, because you guys put a lot of damage on your body when you're diving for those goals. Why did the both of you stick with goalkeeping specifically? What drew you to it, Haven?
So I'm the youngest in my family, and what a lot of people don't know actually is that we have two other goalkeepers in the family. And so my oldest sister, Mackenzie, she started off goalkeeping. She set the way for both of us and just loved it. She was fearless. She just was ready to go get them. And she ended up marrying the men's goalkeeper for BYU Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
So she was playing at BYU Hawaii, married the men's goalkeeper over there, and I'm the youngest of the family, and so I was 10 years old at the time. And I'm watching Savanna be a goalkeeper. I'm watching these two other amazing goalkeepers in my life, and there was just nothing else I wanted to do. I was like, there's no other option here. And
We tried. We tried to convince her too. We were like, Haven, just be a forward. Score some goals. Do something fun. Like, let's change it up. And she was dead set.
I was
no
determined.
way.
I was wearing their gloves, their old gloves. I was going to play, and it was fun. So I kind of always knew at a young age that was going to be in me.
That's
like
what
that
you
was going to
wanted
be
to do.
fun. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Savanna? Was it similar?
No, I hated goalkeeper.
Really?
Yeah, at first, really, because I mean, like Haven said, our sister, she was so good and kind of led the way. So when I first started club soccer in 6th grade, she was killing it on the high school team. So our coach naturally was just like, oh, Mackenzie's your sister? You're going to be our goalkeeper. And I was like, no.
I don't want
to. I can't do this. And then, and then I just learned to love it. I really did. It was not what I initially dreaded because of just kind of what I thought it was. But once I started playing, I really loved it, and then just grew from there.
I love it. Well, you guys come from a very sporty family. Dad played football at BYU, then came back to coach the offensive line for a while. Your brother James played football here, gone to play professionally for a few teams in the NFL. Oldest sister Mackenzie, like you mentioned, goalkeeper for BYU Hawaii soccer team. Is your mom athletic as well, Savanna?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you should see her in the gym.
And she's competitive.
Yes.
Such a competitor.
I love it. She'd have to be.
Oh, man.
I know, people really think that we get our competitive nature from our dad, which, I mean, he is very competitive,
Oh, yeah.
but you haven't seen anything until you've seen our mom.
Oh,
really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Like just in everything? Are we talking like games, sports?
Oh, yeah.
Just
Yeah.
very competitive.
And I mean, that's kind of the culture we have in our family. It's just competitive all across the board. You should see us doing gingerbread house competitions.
Yeah.
We are just in it.
Oh, I love it so much. Did you guys did you grow up playing any other sports, or was it just soccer, Haven?
We both played basketball growing up, so we kind of mixed things up with that. But for me, it was just soccer and basketball.
Okay. And same for you, Savanna?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So how did you settle on soccer? Like, so you're playing both sports. How was it like, all right, soccer is going to be my thing?
It was honestly difficult for me because I loved basketball as well. And I do think, it worked out for me because it was cross training in the off season, kept me fit, helped me with my speed and agility, things like that. But ultimately soccer just I just made a lot more progress playing soccer, and the opportunities were better for me there. So that's ultimately why I ended up playing soccer, and I'm so grateful I did. It's been just an incredible experience for me and for my life.
Even did you ever think that you would be playing soccer at a collegiate level, let alone in the Big 12?
Honestly, yeah. I think I set that goal as a young age. I wrote it on my mirror every day. I think I knew that my career, I wanted it to go somewhere. Soccer's always been my number one thing. And so whatever it took for me to do, whatever team I wanted to be on or needed to be on, I worked hard to do that and prepare myself so I could play at this level.
Savanna, and you got 12 shutouts for American Fork High School while you were a goalkeeper there, leading you to become the 2016 All-Valley MVP goalkeeper. How did it feel getting that recognition at such a young age?
Oh, it was fun. I just had so much going on. I don't think I really tried to, project that in any way. I thought I was just grateful and just happy to be doing what I was doing.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to have more from Savanna Mason and Haven Empey from the women's soccer team. This is Her Why. Welcome back to Her Why. I'm Lauren McLean. I'm here with Savanna Mason and Haven Empey, goalkeepers for the BYU women's soccer team. All right, Savanna, you weren't planning to come to BYU. Is that right? Originally, BYU was not your plan.
No.
What was your plan when you coming out of high school?
So my brother James actually signed to the U before he left on his mission. And I got an offer from the U. I hadn't really talked to BYU as much in the recruiting process at that point. And I had been told that BYU had enough goalkeepers for the time being. So I just didn't really plan on it. Started looking at my other options, and the U seemed really great. They were a great program, very competitive, obviously in the Pac-12. And so I was really about to make my decision to play at the U, and then BYU reached out, so I started looking into that option, and ultimately that's what felt best, so that's what I ended up choosing.
Wow. Okay, so was your brother like, wait, what are you doing? You were going to come here with me.
Well, yeah, he was super supportive the whole process, but yeah, God's plan, because he ended up coming to BYU with me in the end, so
right.
So it worked out.
So your dad, he was let go in January of 2018 while you were here.
Yeah.
Did you or your brother ever consider transferring at all, Savanna?
It was really hard. That was a really hard time for us. Hard for my dad as well. And I'm so proud of the way that he handled all those things. But I think my brother and I were, for a second, considering and kind of trying to navigate that situation the best we could. But ultimately felt like it was best for each of us to stay.
And Haven, watching Savanna come here and then seeing your brother playing football here, did you think you would follow in their footsteps?
Growing up throughout the recruiting process, I committed to BYU at a young age, but I was getting attention from other places and was kind of like, I want to go out of state. I want to go live somewhere else, experience new things. And my dad was coaching here at the time, and he was like, no, you're coming to BYU. And I was like, just the fact that he wanted me so badly to come to BYU, my adolescent, just competitive self was like, nope, I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm going to go pave my own way. But as much as I wanted to do that, or the desire was there to do that, we bleed blue. And as much as I tried to look at other places, it just never felt right. I felt really strongly that I needed to be at BYU, and I loved the coaches, and I loved the environment of BYU and the opportunities that came from that. And I knew that was the best place for me. So.
And you graduated early to come to BYU. So you were actually named the 2020 Gatorade Player of the Year while you were a freshman at BYU. That's kind of nuts. How did that work? How did all that work?
I don't know.
She's on another level, truly.
Wow.
I decided my senior year to graduate early, and it was at the beginning of my high school season, my last high school season. And so I decided that I was going to do that. And I just said, okay, I'm putting everything I have into this. And my dad and my mom were living apart from each other at the time because my dad took the job in California. And so they were doing this long distance, dedicated relationship to help make it work so I could play high school ball.
Wow.
And so I did not take that lightly. I knew that that needed to be worth something. And so I worked my hardest that season and just wanted to create the best opportunity and thing to come that way for my teammates and for myself and for my coaches. And in doing so, I just was like, okay, I'm going to give all that I have, and then I'm going to graduate early, and my mom can go spend more time with my dad, and I can be with my sister in college, and just seemed like it was a win-win on all fronts. And so I just kind of gave all I had, and then in December, graduated, went to college a few weeks later, and then I found out, and I was like, what?
That is crazy.
That's
So
pretty fun.
cool. I mean, just incredibly hard workers, you guys. And in 2021, Haven, you injured your thumb and tore your ACL,
Yeah.
which required surgery and a decently long recovery. Is that right?
Yeah. So an ACL, it's a beast.
Yeah.
It's 9 to 12 months typically, and honestly, I was right after I tore my ACL. It was during our blue and white scrimmage at the very beginning of the season. I was sitting, it was like 2 days later, I'm sitting in our training room with Terrell Moore. He is our trainer. And I'm talking to him like, man, this is going to take me a year. Like, everyone's telling me this is going to take me a year. And Terrell was like, well, how long do you think it's going to take you? And I was like, I don't know what to think.
Yeah.
Like, a year, probably?
Yeah.
And he's like, you really going to tell yourself that? You're really going to tell yourself it's going to take a full year? And he's like, let's push for shorter. He's like, you can do that. And so we set a goal that I was going to get back in 5 months. And I was like, Terrell, this is crazy. Like, there's no way I can do this. And he's like, thinking like that, you won't? And so I wrote it on my mirror, got to work with physical therapy. I had a wonderful team of people that were there to help me. And we just grinded. I went in 3 times a week, multiple hours, and just worked my hardest to get my leg and strength and everything that I needed back. And right after I got off of crutches, that's when I went in for my thumb and got my thumb fixed. I ruptured my medial radial ligament in my thumb, and so it had been like that for a long time. But it was okay because I was like, okay, well, we're just gonna get all out of the way.
Just do it all
We're
now.
gonna do it all out of the way. I might look like I got hit by a car, but that's okay.
She did.
And I did.
For a small moment, she did, for
For sure.
So did you make it back in 5 months?
I did.
Oh, no, I'm
Wow.
going to get emotional again.
That's incredible.
It was pretty crazy, but I did. And I got cleared pretty early, which was crazy. I had a lot of, had myself shocked. I had the team of people around me shocked, but all my numbers were testing out. My right leg was testing stronger than my left, and everything was kind of working out to be able to play. And so I ended up playing in our whole spring league that season.
Wow. That's incredible. You're like, let's tear my left leg now. Get it? No,
I'm
just
like,
kidding.
never.
Get that stronger.
Never,
too.
ever.
So we recently had athletic trainer Carolyn Billings here in studio, and she works specifically with the women's soccer team. Haven, did you get to work with her at all during your recovery?
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
what impact did she have on you during that time?
Oh my gosh. She was my heart, really. She was there to support me in whatever I needed at the time. And she was the one that carted me back to the training room after I tore it in tears and telling me that I could do it. She's like, you can do it. This isn't going to be the end of the world. You're totally going to be able to do this. And she took my feistiness too. And I was like, I'm not wearing a brace. I'm not going to do this. Like, all these things. And she was like, hey, like, okay, let's do it. We're going to get you back. And so she was there from start to finish, there to help me out mentally, physically, and support me along each stage that I was on. She was crucial for that.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
Isn't she incredible? You both serve missions for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Savanna and Hamilton, New Zealand. Cool. That is such a cool place.
Yeah.
People don't say cool anymore. I realize that. I'm sorry.
Oh, they do.
Okay, good.
All the
Good.
time.
That's not just me. And Haven in Seattle, Washington. Let's start with Savannah. Was that a tough decision for you to have to put college soccer on hold to go serve a mission?
Yeah, definitely. And it was not something I was planning for either. So when I thought about it initially here and there towards the end of my senior year. And I got a little bit nervous because I was like, wait a second, I can't be thinking these things because I have a plan. And I didn't want to really put that plan on hold. And so kind of just being at BYU was, it kind of became clear why I was there. And all the people around me, my roommates, especially at that time, were just such great influences on me. And the thoughts of serving a mission just kind of kept coming back, kept circling back. My brother got home from his mission, and that was really influential on me. So I kind of got to that point where I had to just really put some serious thought into it because it wasn't part of my original plan. But I really felt prompted that was something that the Lord wanted for me at that time in my life. And so it was so difficult to be able to put things on pause. And I remember one of the trainers I had at the time, I was excited to tell him I was going on a mission, and I just got that's the dumbest thing you could ever do for yourself. And I'm like, all right, good job. You're going to throw everything away. And so I'm like, okay, you have to have that adversity, right?
Yeah.
But end of the day, you just got to trust that the Lord's plan is greater than yours, and it truly was. And so I don't know, that's kind of what got me through that difficult decision point of, wow, is this really what I want to do? Is this really what I'm going to commit to? And trusting that, you know what, put my faith in the Lord and trust that He'll provide and that He'll create a way for me, whether it's playing soccer or not afterwards. And so, yeah, I'm really grateful for that opportunity to kind of learn that lesson and experience that, and so incredibly grateful for my mission. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
What was your parents' advice like around that time? Because they probably had some mixed feelings as well.
Yeah, for sure. Something that I love about our parents is that they have been, they step in when they need to step in, for sure. But they've really taught us and tried to help us to make decisions and learn how to receive personal revelation for ourselves. So the conversations that we had around that time were very much centered around, hey, this is something for you to pray about and to figure out with the Lord. And we support you either way, and we're so proud of you either way, right? You don't have to serve a mission for you to be able to be a missionary and to share the gospel. But if that's something that you feel like is best for you at this time, 1,000% we support you. So I was really grateful for that, and that was super influential in my process because they were able to just kind of help me get to that point and kind of grow as an individual spiritually at that point as well.
And Haven, what about you? What went into your decision to serve a mission?
I think if you could ask anybody in my life whether they thought I was going to serve a mission or if they were surprised by my decision to serve a mission, I think they would all have the same answer. And it probably would have been that it threw them through a loop. Like, absolutely big surprise. It was kind of just as much as a surprise to myself. I decided to serve shortly after I recovered from my ACL. And so it was actually after our first game that I'd played in since being injured against Utah. And we had just won, and I was in goal, and I was just so hyped. Like, so absolutely hyped. I'd worked so hard, and my injury brought kind of a mix of extreme highs and extreme lows in my life. And that fall, when I was recovering, that extreme low had hit full speed. And it was one of the toughest times in my life where I struggled to have self-confidence and, my spirituality really struggled too. The relationship that I had with my Father in heaven was distant. And I didn't quite know what to do about it. I didn't quite know. I was pretty angry at my life. And so it was drawing me farther and farther away from my Father in heaven. And there was a big turnaround that I had during that time in my life that really shifted me to look beyond the situation and circumstance and to see what my life could become rather than what it was. And that pushed me towards my Savior. And it was during that time that I grew a testimony of my Savior Jesus Christ that I never believed I could have. And it pushed me at that time to see a greater perspective of my life, more than the tunnel vision that it used to be. And so after we had just played Utah, I'm in the car screaming. I'm on the freeway. I'm like, this is the best day of my life. I'm like, I did it. We did it. We're here. And it was as if the car could have come to a complete stop because I just knew in that moment that the Lord didn't heal me to play soccer at that time and that I needed to look at the bigger picture and what else I could do. And that was tough. So at that realization, I ignored it. I was like, no. We just got back.
Avoid.
I'm like, nope, we're going to close that, put a pin in that. We're going to keep playing ball and it's going to be okay. But after that realization in the car that day, I knew that there was more. And so I decided pretty quickly. I couldn't deny the feelings that I had. I decided to serve a mission in a day. It was actually literally 24 hours.
It really was. It is no joke. And all of us were like, how about we just think about this for a week at least?
I was like, no, this is exactly what I need to do. Like, I know. And my coaches were shocked because they saw the comeback that I had made, and they were like, do you know what you're doing? And I was like, I don't think so, but I do at the same time. Like, you just got to trust me. And I just decided to run with it. I got my call about a week and a half after that. And I said I was leaving a month later. So between the time I decided to serve and I was actually in Seattle, Washington, it was 2 months. So
Wow.
In case you can't tell, this is very Haven speed. This is just how she is.
Go.
Yeah, this is a good inside scoop of the life of Haven Empey.
She couldn't let anybody talk her out of it. She had to just go full speed ahead.
As
We had to jump.
determined as a girl could be.
Wow, so incredible. So now that you've both served missions, looking back, we'll start with Haven because you recently got back in August.
Yeah.
So not too long ago. How do you feel like it's kind of changed your perspective on life and soccer as well?
Man, in more ways than I could probably articulate in this podcast. It has changed my perspective in so many ways. And a lot of that has to do with that bigger picture. You know, understanding that our life is so intricate and has so many different avenues and turns that it will take. But the consistency that we find is through our Savior. That is where we can find consistency. And that has brought this perspective in my life and with soccer as I see that these things are wonderful and they bring me joy. They're so happy, but they're also temporary. And when we look at the bigger picture, we can see, you know, what else our life has to offer. And that helps you experience those highs and lows of the game so much easier.
Yeah.
Like you invest all that you have in it, right? So when you are doing great, we're doing great. And when you're doing not so great, it is pretty plummeting. It can be hard. But with that bigger picture that I feel like I gained from my mission through my Savior, Jesus Christ, I feel like he's able to bring consistency and a medium to those highs and lows so that when you're feeling the highs, it's pretty awesome, but it's also all glory to God. And when you're feeling low, it's hard, but it's okay. He's got your back and you're going to be okay. And it keeps you in that medium ground.
I love that so much. What about for you, Savanna?
I think definitely everything that Haven said, one of the biggest things I reflect on that I have gained from my mission that correlated so well when I came back into the soccer world was just perspective on life, perspective on myself as an individual, perspective on those around me. And I think for me, along with that, something that I am incredibly grateful for my mission was just my relationship with my Savior, Jesus Christ. And I grew up in the church, you know, and really just kind of coasted my way and going on a mission and just those 18 months of challenges and great, beautiful experiences really brought me closer to Jesus Christ in a way that was so important for me at that time in my life and going forward. But also just the opportunity to learn intentionality with that relationship and how much that I can give, how much that I should be giving, right? And how much that improves the quality of my life. And I saw that through the people that we helped learn about Jesus Christ, but along the way, it really was truly just that beautiful growth within myself of growing closer to the Savior and maintaining that relationship. And it's not easy, right?
Yeah.
It takes a lot of effort. It takes consistency, but that lesson will stick with me throughout my whole entire life.
That's so beautiful. All right, my last question for you guys. We'll start with Savanna. What's the biggest lesson you've learned playing soccer here at BYU?
Whew, that is a really good question. You know, it's interesting to be at this point now because now I'm like, wow, I am really done with this journey. I've been playing soccer for like 20 years of my life. So I'm like, wow, what have I learned? What have I gained? And something that I've been thinking a lot about. It's all of the great things that I've been able to learn playing soccer, especially here at BYU, is that you can always do more than you think you can. And I know that kind of is a little cliche, and honestly, it's pretty simple, but that is definitely something that I have learned time and time again, no matter the situation, the highs and the lows. It is that I am capable of amazing things. And oftentimes we don't give ourselves enough credit for that, and we don't really think that we are capable of those great things. So if there is something that I truly take with me for the rest of my life from soccer, it is that I can do hard things, and I am very, very capable, and way more than I give myself credit for. So sometimes it's hard to really believe that, but that is something that I'll work to keep with me and always remind myself of as I go forward.
Haven, what about for you?
I think for me, it's taught me that it takes a village. It truly does. And I look at all the people around you and around me in my life as I'm playing soccer. I feel like soccer's taught me that, you don't have to go through life alone, that you have a village of people that are there to lift you up when you feel like you can't stand, there to push you forward if you can't walk, and are there to help you. And in my experiences, through my injuries, I've known that without a doubt. And it has taught me that so clearly, that there are so many people around you to help you in life and to be your support and to guide you. And the game has taught me that, we win and we lose as a team. Everything we do as a team, my success comes from my teammates. And their effort in there is what has gotten me where I am. And so if that is what I take away from soccer, I know it has taught me more than I think most things in life could.
I'm here with the incredible Savanna Mason and Haven Empey, sisters and goalkeepers on the BYU women's soccer team. You gals are just absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for sharing your stories, your spiritual journeys, and your soccer journeys. You're incredible. Thank you so much for being here.
And thanks for having me.
And thanks also to Annie Robinson and Sydney Simpson for producing this episode. Cleon Wall is the senior producer. Her Why is a production of BYU Radio. You can download and listen to all episodes of Her Why on the BYU Radio app or wherever you find podcasts. Her Why is a production of BYU Radio.